In today's video, we are going to be talking about the foods that spike insulin that should be avoided or at least limited to reverse or prevent insulin resistance. If you are insulin resistant, you might find it very difficult to lose weight, and you may struggle with intense sugar or carbohydrate cravings. You may also have skin tags and dark skin patches and insatiable appetite and even seemingly constant hunger. If left untreated, insulin resistance can contribute to the development of type 2 diabetes, PCOS, heart disease, and many other chronic illnesses. This is why it is so important to get started in reversing it today. The best way to reverse insulin resistance is through diet, but there's a lot of confusion over which foods you should eat and which foods you should avoid. This is exactly what we're covering today. Today, I'm sharing the 9 worst foods you can eat if you are insulin resistant. Hey, if you're new here, I'm Andrea, holistic nutritionist, helping women restore their metabolic flexibility through reversing insulin resistance, rebalancing gut health, and restoring detox pathways. Today's video, we are talking all about the foods that cause the biggest spike in insulin that you should avoid if you are trying to reverse insulin resistance. Now, I want to start off this video by acknowledging that diet changes can be really overwhelming. Generally, it means looking at a long list of foods that you're used to eating but are no longer allowed to have. This is exactly why it's so important to change the language around this. Rather than, I can't have that, like it's a rule or you'd be punished if you did eat that food, I want you to flip it to, I don't eat that. This gives you the power because you are choosing not to have those foods. You are in control. So let's dive into the 9 foods to avoid or at least reduce significantly if you are insulin resistant. Number 1, bread. Bread is not a great choice if you're trying to reverse insulin resistance or prevent the development of insulin resistance. This basically includes all breads: white, wheat, rye, whole grain. Sure, there are some better than others, but these breads are highly refined grains that cause a big blood sugar spike that results in a big insulin spike. These grains are also highly inflammatory and can lead to many other problems as well. Now, I understand how challenging this one is because bread and related products are a major staple in our meals. Toast with breakfast, sandwiches, wraps for lunch, rolls and burritos for dinner. But there's some great alternatives. You can go naked with things like burrito bowls. You can use large lettuce leaves or chard leaves for wraps. You can use sliced meats, portobello mushrooms, or even things like cucumbers for wraps and sandwiches. Number 2, fruit juice. Sadly, the most common consumed fruit in the US is orange juice. It's actually far worse to drink a glass of orange juice than it is to eat the whole orange. Juice is a refined and concentrated form of sugar. It is absorbed rapidly with very little need for digestion. This means that it quickly spikes the blood sugar and insulin. So what's a better alternative? Eating the whole fruit is a better option. However, the fruit itself is still really high in sugar, so even whole fruits should be limited when you are trying to reverse insulin resistance. For some juice swaps, consume lower sugar beverages without artificial sweeteners or added sugars. Water, of course, is your best option, but you can also have things like tea or coffee, again, without added sugars or sweeteners. Number 3, baked goods. This includes muffins, bagels, pastries, really anything in a bakery. You will want to stay away from these. These are just like bread. They're loaded with refined grains, added sugars, and even toxic oils, which are vegetable oils. Of course, this can be challenging when you're celebrating a holiday or attending an event, but these events are less of a concern unless you're celebrating every day. What really matters is what you do consistently, every day or nearly every day, rather than what you do once in a while when you attend a wedding. Consistent behaviors compound. When you consistently avoid insulin spiking foods, you will consistently improve your insulin sensitivity. Number 4, vegetable oils. You'll also hear these referred to as industrial seed oils or refined seed oils. This one is fascinating and likely one that you have not heard about. Vegetable oils like canola, corn, cottonseed, safflower, sunflower, soybean, rice bran, and grapeseed are not actually made from many vegetables. These oils are highly refined using mechanical and chemical stresses. These oils are high in polyunsaturated fatty acids, which are sensitive molecules that are easily oxidized. Oxidation can occur due to light, heat, or mechanical stress. The mere process of producing these oils causes oxidation. Then these oils are packaged into clear plastic bottles, which allows for even more oxidation in transit and sitting on store shelves. The foods we consume literally become our tissues. These easily oxidized oils become components of our cell membranes, our tissues, and our hormones. Oxidation increases the risk of free radical damage and changes the cell membrane nutrient exchange. So how does this all relate to insulin resistance? If your cell membranes are filled with oxidized fatty acids, the insulin receptors are less functional. So this means the sugar stays stuck in the blood, unable to enter the cells. High blood sugar is toxic. So this means the body produces more insulin to deal with those high sugar levels. This is the beginning of insulin resistance. So what are some alternatives? Olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil, grass-fed butter, grass-fed ghee, duck fat, tallow, and lard are great options that are filled with healthy fats to build strong, resilient tissues and hormones. Number 5, breakfast and snack bars, including granola bars and many protein bars. These products are another source of refined carbohydrates with added sugars and or sometimes additional artificial sweeteners. Some alternatives here? Well, ideally you want to avoid snacking altogether. Every time you eat, you get some level of insulin spike. So eating less often can reduce the number of spikes. What you eat determines how big the spike is. When it comes to reversing insulin resistance, keeping the overall carbohydrate intake, especially refined carbohydrates, low is the key. If you do want to have some bars around for periodic times of grab-and-go food, you will want to look for bars that are higher in healthy fats, not vegetable oils, and in protein, but low in sugars and artificial sweeteners. Number 6, dried fruit. These react in the body much like fruit juice. They're concentrated forms of sugar, and then many of them are covered in vegetable oils and have added sugars covering them. These cause large, rapid blood sugar spikes and a requisite insulin spike. A better alternative is whole, non-dried fruit, especially low-sugar fruits like berries. Number 7, high sugar fruits. Some fruits are just naturally high in sugars and should be minimized or avoided when trying to reverse insulin resistance. The highest sugar fruits are bananas, grapes, some apples, peaches, and pineapple. Better options are fruits that are lower in natural sugars, like avocado, yep, that's a fruit, lemons, limes, berries, oranges, and kiwi. Number 8, pasta. Just like bread and pastries, these are highly refined grains that cause a tremendous increase in blood sugar and insulin. This goes for traditional pasta as well as many of the whole grain or gluten-free pasta products. Some good alternatives are things like zucchini noodles or other vegetable noodles, spaghetti squash, cognac noodles, and even palmini noodles that are made from hearts of palm. And number 9, beans and legumes. Beans are another common staple for many people, but they come with several significant risks, and they significantly raise blood sugars and therefore insulin. They're filled with anti-nutrients that not only diminish their own nutritional value, but they also steal nutrients from the body. Now, it is possible to reduce some of the anti-nutrients by properly soaking, sprouting, and or pressure cooking, but they're still really high in carbohydrates and will cause a significant insulin spike. Now, occasionally indulging in properly prepared legumes may be an okay option for some of the prebiotic benefits, but when reversing insulin resistance, these should be kept to a minimum. So there are the top 9 foods to reduce when reversing insulin resistance. It should be pretty obvious by now that the key to reversing insulin resistance is keeping insulin spikes low. This is done through a lower carbohydrate consumption because carbs spike insulin the most. Following a low carbohydrate diet, you don't need to worry so much about those insulin spikes. Let me know in the comments below if you have made the decision to remove some of these foods from your diet and what response your body had when you did. Your comments and engagement on my videos really do help to support my channel. So if you did enjoy this video, please let me know and share it out to the world so others can enjoy it too.